as soon as we go live. And we are now on the live show here at the Motley Croc on Sunday, like I do every day at 7. We have Marsha Panucci, my sister Brittany from Wtf Paranormal. And so I've had an interesting week, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. By the way, Marsha kept us up pretty late. She was talking to me while we were in the Florida Everglades last night talking about crocodiles. And she called and said, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "We're playing with crocodiles in the Everglades."
At 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, I texted you when I got home, and you said, "Oh, I've got to film in the morning, so we'll talk tomorrow." And I said, "Okay." But we were talking around midnight, and it was beautiful out there, and the crocodiles were out there, and you know, you can. What's up, Joseph? Good to see you. And hey, Judy, we can't mess with the crocodiles. You can't get in their way. You can't touch them. You can't call them. You know, all this stuff you're not supposed to do. But you can walk up and sit down very calmly and conversate with yourself and your friends and whatever. And the crocs just laid there. They just sat there with us, and it was just a really cool experience. The native crocodiles in Florida are really, really awesome. Really awesome.
So were you down there capturing or
Nope.
just looking?
Nope.
Or what?
The only thing, to be very clear, for those who are watching, when we capture anything out of the wild, it will be invasive. What's up, Dan? Dan was with me. He's joining me. Dan was there. What's up, Bob? So we got to see the crocodiles. When we do any kind of capturing, it's always an invasive species, whether it's your nidanoles, things that you're not, Burmese pythons, nothing in the national state park. We don't take or touch anything in the park, even if it's invasive. But anytime we're capturing crocodilians, it's only going to be caimans. So like if there's a loose caiman, we'll take it. If there's a nuisance alligator, they have trappers and people that do that. But we'll take caimans out of the wild, and we'll take, you know, tokay geckos and things like that are there. But just remember, Karina, hey, what's up? That's Karina from Skunk Ape. We talked to her today. I'm wearing their hat. If you guys want to see that there. The Skunk Ape down there. That is their, it's like a campground, and they do all kinds of investigations on the Skunk Ape, which is, for most of you already know what that is. But those of you don't, it is a Bigfoot in the marsh. So it's kind of cool. So that's kind of a neat thing too. So that's what we were doing, Marcia. We were just going around seeing all that really cool stuff, and it was kind of cool to have you there, but maybe you should come in person next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's really fun.
I want to see Marsha out there in the Everglades tramping around.
So Dan said I'm still stranded here. I'm staying another night. So 3 of the guys that work over at the zoo with me went down and they blew up their car. So they got stuck down there. So they ended up having to rent a car, and we had to do all that. What's up, Paul Wellman? And they had to rent a car. So I guess they're still stranded. I'm not real sure. I haven't talked to all of them yet, but that's all right, Dan. You like staying an extra night. They'll be a little short-staffed, I guess, at the zoo with half the staff down there. But my God, oh my gosh, that's just one of those crazy things. But what's up, Brian Graves? Brian was with us. This is Brian Graves. He is another friend of mine. He went with me, and it's good to see him. I thought you'd be passed out, and I just got another beep. So hold on, I got a special guest coming in. Let's bring him on now. Y'all ready for another one? Let's do this. Boom! What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Surprise!
Yeah, everybody, this is Michael Boudin. As you can see, psychic kind of guy. He's joining us tonight for a little fun and games.
Kind of guy.
That's right, psychic kind of guy.
That's my killer.
Marsha's here.
Yeah.
Can we everybody hear him okay?
Yeah.
I can hear you guys great.
Great. I just want to make sure everybody can hear you. Can they hear you good too? Everybody can hear Michael good?
Can you hear me okay?
He sounds a little distant. Like
he does sound a little distant, but he's
like a little
there.
distant.
Well, maybe it's just my emotional state of mind. I'm just, kind of all over the place today.
There he is. He sounds good.
He sounds
much
good.
better.
Yeah.
David, what's up, David? Zeke?
It's good to see you, Michael.
Hey, how you doing? Look at you with your leather coat on. Is that a leather coat on?
It is. It's a leather coat. She always has to dress up fancy
Wow.
with the hair. These two and their blonde hair all the time. It's awesome. Well, now I have
Come on,
3
Michael.
blondes.
We got it. We got
3
it. Michael.
blondes
We
and
gotta
an
shake it.
idiot.
We gotta shake it.
Got it.
So that's what it'll be. 3 blondes and a beard.
Yeah.
Three blondes in a beard. That's a good idea.
There you go. So how have things been going for you, Michael? It's good to see you, buddy. I was just talking shit about what we were doing down south. I'll get into that when we're done. But how you been doing?
I'm good. Last night I got woke up by this thing. I don't even know what the hell it was. It literally woke me up, like shook me, and I look up at the ceiling, and it was all black though. That was the thing. It was like this form that was all on the ceiling. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, guys, I'm trying to sleep here, and they just wouldn't stop. I said, screw it, I'm gonna go back.
You have to get up and figure it out.
Need something.
Get
No,
up and
I
figure it out.
said, screw that.
People are probably going, what's this guy talking about? Make sure you read his title. It's the psychic kind of guy. Remember that.
The
He is a
psychic kind of
psychic.
guy. Yeah.
He
So
wasn't hallucinating
it-
on mushrooms.
Oh man, I wish I
Not
was.
last
It would have
night.
made a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
you could have at least controlled it. Turn into
Yeah.
a sheep.
They were nuts. So I woke up kind of tired today because of the, it wouldn't say who it was. And sometimes I don't know if I brought, pissed somebody. I've done so many ghost bustings. It could have been anybody, It could have been somebody that got pissed off about something I said or did or something. So I don't know.
Well, that's it. Send them to Marcia's.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
right.
I know. I was just like, dude, and it was so clear. I was like, I gotta film this thing but then I thought, screw you guys, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go back to bed.
Hey,
I'm
Amy's
tired
here,
today.
Brittany.
I'm just
Amy's here. Amy's here.
Oh.
Justice,
Amy.
Justice mom. Remember, Amy's here. Okay. So wow, we got a good looking crowd here tonight. We got everybody in. Yeah, I was just saying. So Michael, Marcia and I were talking last night, just kind of BSing like normal, and then but we were down there looking at the crocodiles, and there's a gentleman watching here. They're going to go back tonight, they said, and see the crocodiles. But, for those of you that don't know, in Florida, we have native crocodiles. So the only place in the entire world they live together is Florida, Crocs and Gators. So
Yeah.
we were down there looking at a whole bunch of wildlife overnight because it's the best to go down in and just, you don't mess around. You just go down and just admire the living things. And these crocodiles just sit with you. And it's just,
It's
man,
the right.
it's
sounds
it's
cool.
majestic, man. It's majestic because they're very comfortable. The Marion crocodile was really, really endangered for a long time here in Florida, and they just got lifted a couple years ago. But still, they're not like this. They haven't come back on a super high level yet, but they're around. But just the fact that if you're very gentle, and Dan had a good time and he got really excited. He's like, "Oh my god!" And he just freaks out because it's just neat to see them. And he's still a young guy, and they kind of one of them ran and took this running dive off the dock. And it was a sight to be seen. I have it recorded, and you can hear this big one, boom, like a boom, 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 boom splash, and everybody got excited. But the other one laid there, and it was just they get spooked. But you're not supposed to. You don't mess with them. We don't ever go down there and mess with them. So for the FWC or anybody that's watching that wants to tell on us, you don't ever mess with them. We don't get in their way. We don't call them. We don't mess with them. We don't do any of it. But Brian Graves is a friend of mine. He works with me, and he had never got to go down there and see him. And I swear you couldn't have asked for a more perfect night because they were all there. There were dolphins there swimming around. There were manatee coming up. I mean, it was like the universe completely aligned last night, which was interesting because I wasn't sure if we were going to make it. Our friend's car broke down. The rental agency gave me a bunch of shit, and then it was like this whole clusterfuck of garbage. And then when we got there, it was like the best time ever. Like it was awesome.
Oh,
Brian says
that's
Dan lost
fun.
his mind. Oh, man,
Don't you
go ahead.
you remember when we went down to the Everglades?
Yes.
We
Did you have a good
drove
time?
and drove
And drove?
and
I
drove.
remember. And in my golf.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Michael, we were going to get Marcia to go out and film with sharks. Can you believe that?
Really? Yeah, I guess.
And then the wind was so
yeah,
bad, they're
I
like,
guess it
"Yeah,
is.
we got set 10-foot swells. We're not going to go out today." I'm like, "Yeah, you would be right over the side, 10-foot swells." And
They take such good care of me.
but
Yeah,
we
they-
did, and we ended up riding back. We had a good time. It was cool. Brian said it was fucking magical. He had a really good time. And Dan, yes, Brian, Dan did lose his mind. It was flamingo. For those of you that want to go down and see crocodiles, don't go down there and harm them. They've been there for a very long time. Some of them are 60 years old, but they're American crocodiles, and they're a beautiful animal to see. So if you go down there, just gently walk up to them, take pictures. Don't get in their way. Don't obstruct their path.
Gently
Don't
walk
do
up
anything
to
like
them.
that to them. But really, it's majestical. Michael, you're going, man. You're going.
Oh, mentally, I'm already there.
Yeah, you've got to see him. It's the only thing I can say that you have to bring is bug spray
Chum?
because the
Oh,
mosquitoes.
yeah.
I turn it off, bro. I just get in my mind. I do this little thing and I don't think about it. And Brian was like taking pictures, like, "Bro, your legs are black." I'm like, "Don't think about it. Just appreciate the croc." So you definitely got to bring some bug spray.
Yeah. Okay. I'm semi excited.
That's awesome, Joseph. It's really cool to see. Now I go down there. I'm from South Florida, as everybody knows, and I used to go there all the time. But last night was perfect. Some nights you see one, sometimes they're far away. Last night they were all around. They weren't scared. We weren't being loud or rude, and the sky was crystal clear. It was just a perfect night. You can't explain it until you see it. Until you see it. because it's just
Okay, so
it's
but
one
I'm
of those
trying to
things.
get a visual. So it's a place where a bunch of crocodiles, they hang out, and you just
Okay,
kinda
so
walk
here,
through
yeah,
the
I'll
place?
give you a visual. So you drive down, it's about 45 miles from the mouth of Homestead, Florida, which is on the really southern past Miami, Florida City, and all that's right before you get to the Keys. Well, if you're looking at the map, straight on just to the left, you have the Everglades National Park. So it's open. You can drive it there all night. It goes 45 miles an hour through the park, 45 miles down to so it takes about an hour to get there, 45 miles down to the base. There's boat ramps there. There's a fish camp. There's a campground. There's like an information center. It was destroyed years ago by the hurricanes. They rebuilt it, got destroyed again. They rebuilt it. Now everything's on stilts. It's coming along. However, those crocodiles have been in that area and been protected. Like people kayak out there and stuff. So it's like this really big, wide open field of grass, and then the boat ramps and water and the mangroves along the edges. And so when you first pull up, you see these 3 boat ramps, and then on the boat ramps, the crocs are just all spread out laying there in the night because, they're nocturnal. And there's babies out there right now. We didn't see any last night, but there are babies. They were born this year, probably. I think he said he was out there in July. Dan did, and he saw a group of babies he took a picture of. So that means they're all around. And for those of you that don't know, alligators stay with their young. The American crocodile assists the young to the water, and then they leave them. So it's like sink or swim, fucker, and then they take off. Some people don't realize that, but they don't stick around with their young like that. Only when they're born, and then they're on their own. They're on their own.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're independent.
So their survival rate's low.
What do you think of those croc hunter shows? Like where they get them and then they kill them and stuff like that, for their skin or something like that?
I've seen, people get upset. Oh, you kill gators and stuff. A lot of those things that you see there, you get so many tags. You have to pay for a tag, and you can hunt an alligator, and not just in Florida, but all over. And it kind of reduces poaching. So we have farming, and then we have the alligator hunt. Otherwise, you have this overabundance of poaching, and then people are killing too much and poaching until you almost wipe something out. Crocodiles, I'm not sure how they do that over there. Culling crocodiles, I know. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was illegal to kill like saltwater crocodiles for a while, and now there's so many of them there. The government agencies, they have apparently removed them or culled them in some sort of another. But I don't necessarily do that myself, but I understand the necessary that they have to do to keep those animals in control, and that's just because that's the way of the world. We're humans, and we control everything, and that's all we've ever known. So we want to move in and build $1 million houses in the Everglades, we're going to have alligators in our backyard. I mean, people forget that. So,
well, I would think so, yeah.
But I mean, they don't do anything. I've spent my whole life with alligators, literally, and I've never felt scared, or there's just never been. I mean, yes, I've been in tight situations with captive animals, but even in the wild, I've been charged, and it's more like, get out of here, I'm scared, you're scaring me kind of thing. It's not, hey, I want to kill you, if that makes any sense. So
right.
I just think people misread them, and it's usually the little snowflakes that come down from, other parts of the country, and they see this giant dinosaur. To them, it's giant. It's like 3 feet. But they tend to see this big animal, and then it's almost like, we got a call, and then they get scared, and fear turns into hurting. And anytime someone's scared of something, as you all know, if they're scared of it, they're going to like abuse it,
Right.
What about the python?
Well, yeah.
What about the pythons?
What are you wanting my opinion about the pythons, or are you wanting me facts or opinions? We saw one. We saw one crossing the road last night. Once again, we were in the national park, so we can't touch them, even though they're invasive and they have other people that do that. You can't do that to them there. But we did see a big one that was crossing the road, and usually every time you go into the national park, you'll see a python down there, which they're not supposed to be there. Obviously, we all know why they're not supposed to be there. My drive, we got a bunch. Let me see here. Joseph says, I drive down to Homestead to do venom extractions at night. Then we go out and we see them crocs. Yeah, it's really cool, Joseph. It's pretty awesome stuff. It's really good to see. Dan's heading back out. I'm just trying to keep up with everybody. David, you think manatees taste like ham? I don't know, David, and I'm not going to risk it. I would think, since they call them sea cows, it's going to be more like a steak. I would think. But there have been some rednecks arrested for doing that, so you might want to. We might be able to call them and figure that out.
I'd think twice about it.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to get caught doing that. I mean, that would be, you're done, dude. If they don't shoot you on the spot, you're going to spend a lot of time in jail for sure.
Well, don't you think we should take Michael to the, what is it, the crocodile farm or the zoo or whatever?
Well, there's a bunch of them. I want to take Michael. I do. And St. Augustine, at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm, you have to go there. First of all, one thing that, what's that?
I said, we'll make him a guest. Let him handle it for that show.
Yeah, I think you should see everything down there. I really,
Michael's
like, what? I really love that place, and I also think I like the fact that they have every species of crocodile that's alive. They have one of their species, one or more of the species of every existing one on the planet, and there's nowhere else that does that right now, really. So it's really cool that they have that. So if you say, "Hey,
how many species are there?"
Well, it's debatable. Some people tell you 24, some people tell you 26. You know, you have to start off. You have crocodiles, you have alligators, you have caimans, and you have gharial. So gharial are the ones in India that have those paper thin little beaks on them, and they're gigantic animals, but they have really thin faces. Crocodiles are all over the world, and then you have alligators, which are pretty much indigenous to Florida. And then in China, we have the Chinese alligator, but it's still an alligator. Now it's pretty much functionally extinct in China. I mean, their numbers are not like they should be.
I've never
Let's
heard
put
of
it
a
that way.
Chinese alligator.
They have slanted eyes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Oh my God.
geez, Marcia. I always tell a joke that I saw it one time. We have a good friend of Jimmy's. His name is Trey, and he'd always go, "You know how you tell the difference?" And he goes, "It says made in China on the belly." But they're a very beautiful animal. As a matter of fact, I'll bring one on the show because my friend Kurt, he actually has Chinese alligators that are producing, and they're beautiful little creatures, especially when they're born. So the difference is they're quite a bit smaller. Quite a bit, like maybe 5 foot as an adult, quite a bit smaller, truthfully, you know, and they're really, they burrow a lot. But as we all know, this is no joke, and everybody knows it's not a thing. But in China, China just destroys a lot of its stuff. I mean, they overkill things, and they just have, so they just got really destroyed over there. But they're a beautiful species, and you know, their government stepped in and said, "Okay, guys, that's enough of this bullshit," and they stopped it, and it, you know. There's just so much to it. So there's crocodiles, Cayman now. Cayman are South American usually, and so we have some that are in Florida that have been, escapees from like the 1960s, or someone lost a pet or released it or whatever. So we have brown Cayman down there, and we have spectacled Cayman. And the spectacled Cayman, Michael, has a bridge between its eyes, and it's like this one bridge that goes between its eyes. It's very unique to that animal. And then you have the brown Cayman. It's a little bit more reduced, and their scientific name is fuscus. And then you have the spectacled Cayman, and then you have the fuscus, which is the brown, and it's just
those are the ones with the long snouts.
They have longer snouts, and depending on where they are, they're more related to the alligator. Crocodiles are the ones with the really, really long snouts. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, what about the white ones? Is it Croc or is it an alligator?
Are you talking about the white alligators or albino? So they're albino alligators,
Oh, the white
and the white alligator is an albino, and we actually have some that's called piebald. And most people know what piebald is here, but for those of you that don't, it's like a patternless. They have like white and black all over. Sometimes they have no pigment. Sometimes they have a lot of pigment and some blotches. Their eyes will be silver. We're fortunate because we have one that has gold eyes. He's really beautiful. He's going to be going on display at the zoo here pretty soon, but he doesn't look real. He doesn't look real. Yeah, he doesn't look real. So who's next? What questions? What do we got? Bumblebee, what have you been doing?
A little bit of everything lately, but right now I'm just working with getting stuff up with WTF and getting all that going. And then on September 30th, we have the show that's going to launch, Unidentified with Demi Lovato, that I was a part of. And that's a 4-part documentary series that's coming out following her journey with extraterrestrial, which is really cool. You can find the links everywhere online. So I was an expert on the show. So that's coming out. That's coming out on the 30th on Peacock. NBC Peacock.
You were only an expert on the show? That's good. I was worried.
Just an expert. Phew. Nothing else. Nothing else. So that's coming out. And then just a lot going on with WTF Paranormal. Got a lot of stuff lining up with that, with investigations and people reaching out with sightings and wanting to get together from here all the way to California.
So we need to be dragging Michael from here all the way to
WTF.
Michael, I think we ought to rent a convertible.
Yeah.
And we ought to drive.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we ought to drive and just find places to. But wow, that's pretty loud. Is there a ghost in here? I hear a child crying.
No, it's mine. They're trying to get her back to sleep.
Oh, they want to come in and see you. They want to see mommy. But yeah, Jimmy and I, from the Gator Boys, actually, Michael, Jimmy Riffle, he's a very good friend of mine, and we were doing some work with Discovery Channel. So
the Gator Boys, those are
the Gator Boys TV show. Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah,
They,
it used
they
to
ran
be.
a bunch of seasons, and then they retired it. Whatever, it ran its course. But he's got a park up here in Ocala, Florida, where he's got all his alligators and crocodiles and stuff. So we rented a Mustang, a white Mustang, and it was a convertible, and we drove it all the way to LA from Florida. It was the coolest trip ever, man. I mean,
nice,
bro, all the way through Arizona, Tombstone.
Yeah.
We visited
What a great
Tombstone.
trip.
Yep. We went down there and saw the old bird cage and all the supposedly haunted
Yeah.
stuff. I think the ghosts are just fucking tired of haunting everybody there because everybody goes to that spot. And I stood near one a goddamn thing in there, but paintings and holes in the wall. I'm like, somebody's peeking at us or something, But it's the places that I've walked into before that, you go somewhere and you're like, God, dude, I just don't feel right here. There's something wrong, or this is interesting. But then the places that are supposed to be really, like, you got somebody with their eyes painted black and they're like, Mary said to John before she shot him. So you'll see her walk along. That kind of stuff is just people buy into that, man. But I just think there's more to it. And if I was a ghost and 100 million people came a day and you're doing the same shit, I'd move. I mean, why would we be any different if we're dead? Would we get burnt out? And then you're forever like that. So it's not like, boy, I can't wait to die and see what it's going to be because you're already dead. So wouldn't you just move along somewhere else to go haunt? I would.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I mean, those earthbound spirits, they like to, they like to go to different. I would assume. Well, some of them do. Some of them like to just stay at the same spot, though.
Well, don't you think they get?
just
Well, you
wait
would
for
know.
it.
Don't you think they get bored? I would think they would get bored.
Well, that's the whole point. That's why we get called in because they get bored and they start doing stuff. They start making noises or throwing things around or whatever. And it depends. Sometimes, what? Most like 95% of the ghost bustings are when they're remodeling the house. Like the ghost is in the house and they, they're not doing anything. But as soon as you remodel, then they start getting pissed off because they like the same old stuff.
So Sarah Barber is on, and that is Jimmy's boss, if you understand what I mean by that. For those of you watching, that is Jimmy Riffle's boss. She controls everything. She said I would stay in Tombstone forever, and I know she would. We did a road trip out there with a whole group of people, and we got to go out there. It was pretty fun. We actually did the ghost tour in there. It was quiet. They turn all the lights off and try to scare you. You're like, okay, guys. But I will tell you that up where they were staying for a while, Michael, which is really interesting. You'd probably have a really good time there. Tallahassee, Florida is very, very old too, like St. Augustine. And we actually looked in some of the graves and you could see the skeletons laying in there. We've seen the skulls and all that. So Jimmy would stick his phone in there. Yeah. They used to bury them above, Florida's very, putting something in the ground, right. So they would put it up, and it would be on these, mounds, but they put them in these concrete things back then, whatever their version of concrete was. And they would fall in and you start to see them collapse over and you get to see a lot of stuff. So it's a neat place to go just for the history of it. It's a neat place. I'm sure you'd have a blast.
No kidding.
So, and the oldest city in America is St. Augustine. And if anybody here doesn't know that, the oldest city in America. And so there's a lot of shit there. We probably just scraped.
I'm actually going there tomorrow.
Are you?
I am.
You're so lucky, dude. You're so lucky.
Yeah,
what are you doing there tomorrow?
I have a couple locations I have to go and talk to, so I'm pretty excited about it.
That's nice.
There's a couple haunted locations. I used to be up there all the time. That was my old stomping grounds. I used to go up there and I used to help some of my old friends that used to have the after hours investigation tours to, those people that really wanted to use equipment and see how it worked. I would come up there and help teach like the dowsing rods and the EVP recorders and how to use infrared and night vision and all the fun stuff, and make it lively for them after hours. But it was always funny because we would get lively. Yeah, we would get like a few things during the investigations when we'd have these guests because, man, they're so into it. And that's fantastic. But the real stuff would happen when we're loading up and everybody's gone. Like it's like 3 a.m. in the morning and it's just us talking and we're having a good time. And it's like, that's when you start seeing stuff. Like, it's like, okay, where were you guys earlier? Like, why are we seeing this stuff now? But there's a lot of places that are not the typical places that people go to in St. Augustine that are kind of like off the beaten track that have some really dark history to it. That is not part of the guided tours that you take, but insiders know those places very well. So there's some dark history in St. Augustine that, the true paranormal people, that go up there and really know the darker history and the real stuff that's going on behind the gates. That's the stuff we like. So
that's pretty neat stuff.
Mm-hmm. I love St. Augustine.
Casadega is pretty good too. I told you that it's a town of mediums. David Zeke just brought that up. Let me touch on a couple comments because I want to do that. Brian said, make sure the Screech Owl. So we're driving down the middle. You're gonna love this. So Screech Owls is about the size of a little Pepsi can. It's like this big. It's this little teeny guy. He's got a heart the size of Texas. He's a warrior. He's a murderer. He's a killer. He's a silent flyer, but he's this big. So we're driving down the road, and I see this little thing, and it looks like a Sasquatch in the road, but like a 2-inch tall one, right? And I'm like, shit, there's nowhere we can go. And I roll over him, and I thought, oh, my God. And then the other guy that was with us in the other car said, oh, my God, did you run over that owl? I go, no, man, I didn't hit the owl. So we backed up, and he was still sitting there. He was still sitting there, and he looked up at Benny driving the car, and he was like, shit, I'm still alive. And he took off. And you just have to be there because his eyeballs on this bird got so big. I don't know what he was doing. He was down there catching a cockroach or something. But we flew over him, and he like ducked, and he's like, I'm still alive. And when he looked up, made eye contact, man, he shot out of there. But it was like it was hilarious. He almost became a ghost. I can tell you that. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and those road trips are fun. You see a lot of stuff down there, and so there's a lot of stuff going on. Joseph Mazzone said, I'm trying to find the best haunted places in Tampa. I've done the Ebor thing, but I want some evil shit. Joseph, you're a dark motherfucker, but I like you, though. I like you.
There are plenty. There are some off the wall places down there.
Michael, I sent you the thing on the Green Swamp axe murders. Did you read it? What's up, Benny? It's good to see you here, bud.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah. I want to go out there again because the bed's still there. So that's what's cool about that.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, if you saw the picture inside, the furniture's still in there and all that. You have to hike to it. It's really cool, and there's a plaque, but it's a really interesting story. I mean, for people who haven't seen about it yet, it's really wild that it's still standing after that many years. And as many tourists that go out there, like dark tourism's a big thing, and has made nobody touches or steals anything. It's pretty unique to me, actually.
Does anybody know where the murder weapon is?
Benny said, my friend works at Casa Monica in St. Augustine and sees some weird stuff. I don't doubt it, man. There's a lot of weird people in St. Augustine. I've seen them. You know what I mean, Benny?
Well, I'm excited to go. Yeah.
I can't wait to come down. I just want to, I mean, it's going to be like wide open. Fine. I'm excited to really just open up and do it. It'd be like being on cocaine for 7 days on the spiritual level. You know, it'll be good stuff. Really good stuff. So I think it'll be awesome.
It's really fun.
St. Augustine's really cool, man. I think and everything down there is really old. The Alligator Farm's extremely old. There's a lot of stuff, man. And being the oldest, I don't know. You see things, and I'm really big into nostalgia, and just you see stuff. I think it's gonna be great. Honestly.
Well, they really protect that city. You got to give it to St. Augustine. They really protect the history, which is rare, honestly. And so when you have a city that really wants to preserve the history any way possible, I think that even the spirits would agree that they appreciate it. So I think a lot of lingering is because of the appreciation for the city.
A lot of people protect those too, like Casadega, Michael. They don't. We have my older cousin's, one of his really good friends is buried in the Casadega cemetery because he bought a house in Casadega. But if you go and ask for the cemetery, nobody will tell you. They won't tell you where it's at. I mean, you kind of go back there and find it, but they're not going to tell you because people are vandalizing it because it's a supernatural area or the devil's chair. Because the family there was a guy, his whole family was completely murdered, and he built the chair so he could sit and talk to his family. So all his wife and his children were buried there. And then it ended up becoming the devil's chair. And then, kids go out there and, sacrifice a goat or whatever they do. And so they're like, we're tired of this shit. And so, but that's another very interesting place. I really would like to be standing next to you when we go there, honestly.
Okay.
Well, they have the hotel there too.
I know. I'll stay in the hotel. I think there's some. I definitely think. I know there's some. I know there's some activity there that's definitely supernatural, and I also know that a lot of it is there's a lot of bullshitters there too. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I know exactly.
These ones that do like this, Michael. Let me see if I can do it. Hold on. So I'm getting that you cut your hair when you were 6 years old and it traumatized you and you dropped your Kool-Aid. I think it was Kool-Aid. It was green. It was a green substance. You dropped it. Your mom yelled at you and it became what would it be? It was a trauma. I'm sensing a trauma and it begins with the letter F. That shit right there, when that goes, I have to leave. I have to leave because you know what you're talking about. And if you have to do that kind of that behavioral picking shit, then I don't want to hear it anymore.
It's performance artists. Yeah.
It's good, right? And you
Yeah.
can target. And you'd be really good if you understand behavior. And I know behavior in animals really well, and so you can. That's very applicable to humans. And so you can begin to read. And it's like an evangelist. God's telling me, hold on a minute. Someone has a bad knee. Well, motherfucker, there's 5,000 people out here. You bet your ass someone's got a bad knee. And these guys run up. It's my knee. I can walk. It's mine. And you're like, come on, man. Come on, dude. What's wrong with people?
Yeah.
And then you have the real shit where somebody walks in and tells you something and you pass out and you recover. You're like, how the fuck did you know that? I saw what you were doing in the bathroom this morning at 3 a.m.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah.
God, I love being on the Croc Show with everybody. This is so
Michael,
fun.
no matter what you see, just don't tell us. Just don't.
No, tell Brittany. I want to know.
No, I mean, like if you did see us screwing around at like 3 a.m. in the morning,
Or ghosted. They're like, God, do you know what Brittany was doing in the bathroom at 3 a.m? She was plucking ass hair with tweezers that she uses on her kid.
That stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
No, they'd be like, "Oh my God, she had a minute to herself. She was sitting down reading. She never reads." But she
I told you this. I haven't said it on the show, but we talked about it before when we were all conversating. It takes me back to when Brittany's husband said, "Well," I go, "Yeah." So what do you think about your family being around here? So he's like, "Well, I kind of don't want them around all the time. There are things I don't want them watching." Yeah. So it's kind of uncomfortable. Yeah. And the way he said it was so cool. He's like, "Hey, well, it's just kind of uncomfortable, really. So yeah, I don't really want them here all the time." I'm like, I think they'll leave.
Oh, private time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. People
don't ever talk or think about that, but that's true. I mean, that's true.
It's not helpful when you're like, hey, they're around all the time. You're like, they are.
Yeah. So I have a couple idols in my life, and George Carlin's one of them. And he always talked about, remember he did a whole thing about your relatives in heaven? And then he says, well, I got one. What about your grandma in hell? Man, she's looking up at us from down there. And you put that into perspective. You're like, nobody ever says that when you're a kid. Grandma went to hell. Nobody says that. But what if grandma was a bitch and went to hell? I mean, they don't say that. Like, she's looking through the holes of the floors of heaven. What about the holes in the floor of hell? And you ever think about grandma in hell? And I was like, that's the best line ever with that guy, because nobody does that. So that shit's just humor, but it's funny.
He was a smart guy, that guy.
He was, and I think that's why he's not here anymore. And when people start getting too smart like that and they're political, they just kind of end up disappearing. They die of he ate a ham sandwich and his liver exploded kind of thing. And it's like, wow. You ever notice that? People look at David Chappelle. Just read his story. So it's interesting to me. They get real political and then they get shut down or they die. Yeah. And then you can go ask them why, Michael.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny how some people, the more like comedians are really good when they're fucked up, when they're really kind of dysfunctional and all that. But as soon as they start getting better, they're not as funny. So, or they start to, discover things and stuff. They're just not as, they're not as effective. Sorry.
I think you're playing with your dog there. Right? That's fine. I totally agree with that. And I think for, if people are kind of watching, I always catch, I get a lot of people get so many, they get mad at me for saying things, but remember we are really just primates and we do find things odd and different. So like humor and comedy, real comedy and real humor comes from extremely dark situations or dark things that have happened to us in our past. And we're able to make light of it, or you make fun of something or someone else. And we are in a cancel culture now where if you say something, oh my God, that hurt someone's feelings. And, and what happens to snowflakes? Eventually they fucking melt, and they'll melt soon and we don't have to deal with it anymore. But for now, we have to be very careful. But, if I'm out shopping somewhere and I'm with my sister and there's somebody that's mentally challenged sucking on the window, I'm probably going to laugh. I know it's wrong, but I'm going to laugh. Like, Brittany, why is he sticking his lips on the window?
And I ignore you and I keep walking.
But it's funny. I mean, it's like, I'm not saying it to be mean, but humans automatically go, oh my God. And then you get in the car and you got one good person like, you guys are disgusting. I can't believe you. And everybody else like, did you see us say where's teeth right? And you're all laughing, and everybody does that. There isn't a single person that doesn't watch somebody get hurt or do something like that and not laugh at it.
I'm horrible when people get hurt. I'm the first one to laugh because it's the facial expression of the person getting hurt, no matter what.
I know.
It's
Or
hilarious.
I went one morning. I went to, and I'm only saying this because you have to picture us together. I went to breakfast with Marcia, and we went to, I believe it was First Watch in Sarasota. Very nice breakfast. But we were having a nice breakfast outside. But if the waitress walked up and she exploded, I would laugh.
I think Marcia would laugh.
I'd say, Marcia,
Yeah,
what the hell just happened? I don't know. And you're wiping it off your face. Boom. We're not going to be like, that poor woman. Did she have children? We're going to laugh. And then I'm going to tell the story. Marcia and I were having breakfast and the waitress exploded. What do you think they're going to say? How horrible. They're going to laugh.
Walk out.
When they explode?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. But when you tell the story, what do you think someone's going to say? Oh my God. When you're like, they're not going to believe you. The waitress exploded. But that's hilarious. If you tell that story, it's funny. Exploded.
Okay, so the waitress actually exploded?
No, I'm saying if it had happened,
Oh my God.
Okay.
if it had happened, just blew up right next to us, it would be funny. Would it not be funny?
Well,
Brittany?
yes, it would. Yeah, no, they did. There was this comedy group up here. It was called Dudley Riggs, and they did a whole little short thing about spontaneous human combustion.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, I know. And these old people had to wear, smoke detectors around them and stuff in case things started.
They started to say, "Oh my God, smoke
Do you
detector.
know? Do you
Come
know
on
that?
fire!"
Do you know that I learned about that when I was like 12 from my brother? So I was always like, and I still am. I was always very proper. Like I never farted in front of anybody, and I still don't, not even my husband. And Troy, when I was
she's
like
awake.
11, yeah, when I'm awake. Listen, when you're asleep,
It
whatever
counts.
happens. No,
Nope,
because
it
you were in
counts.
your sleep. No, anyway.
Counts.
So he literally told me, he's like, if you keep holding in your farts, you're gonna explode. And I was like, what? He's like, it's gas. It'll turn into fire and you'll explode. So I didn't believe him, and he like shows me.
People who are burned up in the chair from holding in farts.
I was like,
Which that's
oh
not
my
true.
God. So
But
like
that's what I
I would
said.
like hold it in for as long as I could, and I'd be like, I don't want to explode, and I'd run off to a random corner somewhere outside, open my car door. That's in fart.
Because you don't want to explode. Yeah,
I didn't want
exactly.
to explode. And then when I was like 16 or something, he's like, I was just BSing with you. Like, you're not going to explode.
People do explode, but
But I was so little, I believed him. I was like, my older brother said I'm going to explode, and he knows everything. So therefore, I'm going to explode. So I have to be careful where I fart.
It's got to be very interesting. It's got to be very interesting to do that, Michael.
Dante, come on.
What's he doing?
Sorry,
Catching
Dante.
cats? He's making cat spirits.
I'm watching Michael
Yeah,
with
he's
his dog.
chewing things.
I got my twos just crying.
Come on.
I don't know what's going on.
They're just having a good time with their love everybody. Like I said it the other day. I said, you can really tell if somebody is an animal person, they're good people, man. It's just, I mean, the son of Sam, he had a dog that told him to kill people, and that's fucking awesome.
Oh my God.
Man, can you imagine walking home, your dog's like, I told you to kill Agnes on Thursday and you didn't do it. I'm sorry. What? That's just awesome to me. But most animal people are great, and they're very sporadic, and they're out there, and it's a lot of fun to be around them. And I the only time I ever cringed, I can deal with a lot of shit, Michael. But
Yeah.
Marcia pulled up in a brand new Porsche one day. I just got it. She's all excited. She opens the door and she lets her dogs run in there and just jump all over this brand new leather in there. And I'm like, Marcia, she's like, I'll get it cleaned. I'm like, oh my God, beautiful. You just have to love animals to do that. Because I have an 02 Ford, and if I had a dog do that in my truck, I would have a heart attack, let alone a brand new Porsche. And I love my dog. So I know she's a true animal lover. I'll tell you what.
Poor Marcia.
Hey,
No.
I had to take my car and round up the bulls.
Today?
Remember?
So you oh, that's right. That's right. She took her
Remember?
Porsche and rounded up all her bulls
Yeah.
to get them all back in
It
the
would have been
pen.
a great commercial for Mercedes. Just great. Because I had them cornered.
It would have been good.
That's awesome.
I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's ever rounded up bulls with a Mercedes before. This might be a breaking
first.
thing. I think that's a first right now. We're brown breaking. What's
Yeah.
up, Paul? Everybody, we should do Motley Troop to St. Augustine and call it Croc's Ghost and Mayhem Weekend. We should,
I'm for it.
and we'll let it be led
Good.
by rock star Michael Boudin.
That's me.
Oh, Benny said, explain how the chair works. Well, they say that if you sit. Okay, so first of all, Flavia and I sat in that chair and did a lot of pictures, and nobody appeared behind us. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read about if you sit in the chair, you're supposed to be like the devil's supposed to appear or whatever. It never happens. Just so you know. That's how it works, Benny.
It's just a legend.
Okay.
It's a bunch of stuff that
That's what Buddy Benny was asking.
Kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, though. There is the devil's chair beer. And it's a beer can sitting in the devil's chair with the same. They did a whole animation of the Casadega, which is cool. And when I went there, I'll text you the picture later, Michael. I was sitting there with Flavia. I found a beer can. I'm holding the beer can up like this, and it says, the devil's chair. And we're like, yeah.
It's on WTF too.
We're sitting in it. Yeah, it's on our social media. But I didn't see anything weird happen there.
Which Michael's honorary now. Honorary WTF member.
Did you put him on?
Yes.
Of course. I haven't
That's awesome.
I haven't put his picture up yet because I have to, of course, get permission to be like, I can't be like, so Michael,
you can say this is my friend Michael Boudin. He's not going to care about that. We just can't,
No, but he's an honorary WTF member. Marsha's a member. She's our
for those of you, I would like you. Okay, so I developed WTF Paranormal. I did. That was me.
Marsha.
And I want you to know why do you think it's called WTF? And it's not wow, that's fresh.
Yeah,
Why do you,
I got
Brittany,
you.
Brittany, I would like you to tell them what WTF Paranormal means.
What the fudge? Paranormal.
That's not what it means. Basically,
I don't say the F word, so it's frick
the reason
fudge.
I did it, Michael, was because Jimmy and I were out in Texas.
Guys? I have to actually run. I have to
go ahead, run.
I got to
run.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, we will talk though.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
I'm so
have
sorry.
fun.
Okay.
No, do your thing. Go for it. All right, bud. See ya.
Bye.
So what happened was Jimmy and I were out there, and it's the first thing you always say. Like Marsha, me and you were standing somewhere. You're like, "What the fuck was that?" So I thought, you know what, WTF Paranormal, because that's exactly what you say when you see it. Nobody goes, "Oh my gosh!" It's like, "What the fuck was that?" Every time you see an investigation or anytime you see anybody doing it, they freak out. So that's one of those things where, Marsha, your phone goes from like blue to green, like your colors. It's so amazing.
I'm in a new house, and I'm beginning to think.
That's pretty supernatural. Like, I think the devil's there. Now you're red.
I think, well, you know what it is?
I think it's a reflection of your TV.
No, I'll tell you what it is. I invested in all of these lights.
Oh, and your things are moving. But every time your TV or whatever moves, it changes color.
So I have lights on the pool that pulsate, and they're jets, and they do
That's it.
Okay. And so they come on, they come off, they do all of that kind of stuff. Then there's lights. I'm like Christmas. I just got lights all over the place. So
you do.
Marsha.
That's pretty wild, though. Like that's good. I see it. That's actually awesome.
I do. Yeah, I do.
See, it's dark now. It's changing again.
Going to come back into light.
Dark. No, it's darkness. Now it's dark. Now it's really dark. It's called you a liar.
So it's doing blues and greens and yellows right now.
I can see that. I feel like I'm in a nightclub when you're the DJ.
Yeah, what a nightclub.
Marsha's spinning on the lights.
Right.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's cool. Yeah, so we had a really good time down there. It was a lot of fun, and I think we should definitely do St. Augustine with Michael. We'll get a lot of stuff in there, and I think we're going to film it and release that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
What was that?
Is that your boy?
That's my baby.
Oh, it sounded like John. I was wondering.
Yeah.
No, that's not John.
Yeah, it's about time for him to go for his evening constitutional, and I'm not moving fast enough, so he's letting me know.
Oh, his evening constitutional. I think that's actually really cool.
Yes.
It sounds cool. It sounds like a bear. It's like, I'm like, whoa.
Well, that's my Lucci. He's a giant schnauzer. He's 10 years.
It's a Bigfoot.
Yeah,
He is a Bigfoot.
Yeah, and he is just very, very expressive. And he's
Joe's like that. They're very vocal. That's cool.
Yeah, he's been building. I don't know if you've heard it from the minute we started.
It's getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, because he thinks I'm ignoring him, which I'm really not. I'm not, but I need to take him out and go for his walk.
This is cool because I know I wanted everybody to kind of see what was going on here, and we definitely should go down to the skunk ape place right here that you guys can
Yeah.
see. The sun.
The last
Right
time
there,
I was there,
headquarters.
remember I was with you, we were heading to the Keys and I was pregnant with Finn. And I have a picture in front of the skunk ape with John. And I have like my little belly and I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
should
When
go
we were
back.
down there. Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
So
we should definitely go
we should
back.
definitely go back there. We stopped there today, and their family was there. Kids, and then the lady who helped us is Karina, very nice young lady, and she was telling us all about the Everglades, and her family's deep there, and they're sawgrass people and sawgrass cowboys. That's a real thing, and there's a lot to the Everglades right now, and there's a lot of BS from government agencies, etc. And these people's way of life, and it's worth looking into and seeing what they got out there, and Sasquatch or whatever, a side thing that is. But there is real life too, where people are hunting, and they want to be able to hunt or take their airboats out. Man, they grew up down there. I don't think people should say, well, we're turning all this into whatever we wanted to, and you can't do it anymore. That's wrong. And the government's reaching pretty far at a lot of times, and and the bad part is that there's good people out there, officers, especially like in the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission or whatever, but they have jobs, man, and they have families too. And people forget that, and they want to take it out on the officers. They want to take it on the FWC. It's not them most of the time, or it's not the police. It's the government agencies telling them, you don't do this, you lose your job. And so that's a tough thing, man, because, if you've got children or you've got something to do, anybody who owns a business or understands business or a job knows that sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. So
Yeah, because it's your livelihood.
I hope people take into consideration. I hear a lot of that stuff sometimes. We're like, oh, fuck this guy or fuck that. Think about what you're doing. It's your politicians that are taking money from your little people and driving around, in their limos and stuff and backdoor jobs. I'm just telling you, you got to remember that. It's not always the officers. It's not always the people. And sometimes what the people are doing are good, but if it doesn't satisfy someone else's need or backdoor deal, they just annihilate it. And it's really sad. It's sad that we're like that now in a lot of situations in our country, honestly. I'll be dead tomorrow because I said that.
Yeah, it was nice knowing you.
Yeah.
It was very
Dan
nice
said,
knowing you.
Dan's out there. Dan, I don't really know how to pronounce his name right because he was trying to tell me last night, but I can't. It's like Schwarzerford. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Is it
I
German?
fucking love this guy's name. It's like Scharscheswort. I love it. Anyways, Dan's out there. I call him Daniken Skywalker because he's always executing 66, but just caught another anole. His friend Corey spotted it. Corey's another good guy that works for us to do. So they're out there catching stuff, and they're having a really good time. I'm glad you guys are making the best of a shitty situation. One of their cars broke down, so they're stuck down there. So,
Yeah,
hey,
that sucks.
it's going to be like those lizards are going to be. That's a $10,000 trip, man. Broken car, extra rentals, extra hotel rooms. It's going to be. That's a big vacation there. It's going to be an expensive one. I'll tell you that. But yeah, it was a good time. We had a really good time down there. We really did. And Marsha, I look forward to doing that and going over to St. Augustine, doing some filming, and really do it. And come back
At some point, I have got to get down back to the Keys because I want to go see Robert the doll.
We were right there. Right there. We should have went last night. I'd go see Robert the doll. We should go, Marsha.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He's nice in this beautiful little glass case, and he's just sitting inside the museum in the Keys. And I want to go see him so bad because that's where the whole story came from with Robert the doll. So I just want to go see him. And Marsha, I was so close when I was there before, and I can't believe I didn't get to see him.
Marsha, we can leave. I think it may be Sarasota or Bradenton. I'll look. They have. No, it's not. It's Fort Myers. They have a ferry that takes you all the way down to the Keys, and I would like to do that. I've never got to do that. I think it'd be fun to the Keys. And it's reasonably priced, and you can relax on the water, and it takes you all the way down to the Keys. You can spend a few days and take the ferry back to Fort Myers. I want to do that. I really do.
Oh, from Fort Myers, it takes you out of Fort Myers. That's cool.
You've got the Hemingway House down there. You've got all those old cemeteries. I mean, there's a lot in the Keys we should probably look at too.
You could always fly private jet.
I'll join you, Marsha.
Okay, come on, let's go. Brittany,
I already told Marsha. I said I have no problem flying.
Bro, I'm like Mr. T. You're gonna have to inject me with something, man. But I guess a private jet. The one thing you got to tell me something. How bad is the turbulence in a private jet, Marsha?
I'm telling you, it's just like you're gliding along the clouds. It's a beautiful thing.
And then you glide down real fast too. But what I'm asking is, you can. But what I'm asking is, a lot of the things that I don't like about flying is I get stressed out being in a tight spot that I can't leave. That's really what one of the overwhelming things is for me. Well, and then the icing on the cake is you're 33,000 feet in the air. What's that?
I said, if you'd like, they could open up the door and you could jump out if that would make you feel better.
That would probably be worse.
No.
But I mean, but what I'm saying is that's where at tight spots. Even when I go, like I love going to the theme parks, and sometimes they pin me down in those rides, man, and I can't get out. I feel like I feel trapped, and that's what really works me up. That's one of my I don't like to use the word trigger because I think that's so misused today. I'm triggered, but that starts to spark my sense of anxiety when I get trapped, and that's sometimes that. But I can overdo that. I can outlook that. But then turbulence hits. Forget about it, dude.
No,
I will jump out. I will jump out.
You know that I fly private. And,
I do. I do.
And, and I have a marvelous pilot that I've been flying with.
He is a good guy.
About 12 years or so. And he knows we're not going to take chances. I mean, if there's inclement weather or something, that's why you always, as far as I'm concerned, that's why you always allow extra time or an extra day. Because if something is going to happen, hey, nothing is worse than getting yourself into a storm or something like that. But I will tell you, when the storms start coming into Florida, I travel around and I go up. I do see Michael occasionally, and
I know.
We come back down to Florida, and we've got the winds and we've got the storms, and we've got a hurricane brewing up and whatever, and they get up over it, and then we just get down safely. If we can't get into the Sarasota Bradenton area, then we'll go wherever we have to go. We've landed in Orlando because at time, a couple of times it was a little safer in Orlando. We've landed in St. Pete's because Sarasota Bradenton Airport was shut down. But it's safe. It's probably safer than driving a car.
Okay, that's fair. I don't like turbulence. How often have you experienced that in a private jet?
To be very, very frank with you, and I've been flying for a great many years. I can only remember a couple of times that we bounced around a little bit, and then they got up and over it.
Okay, because I was coming out of Belize one time, and I swear to God took a ball bat, and he done slapped the side of that airplane so hard. If I wasn't buckled in, I'd have been stuck through the roof.
Yeah, but flying the jets down there, you're flying the rubber bands, so I mean you have to expect something like that. But all of this new aircraft now, it's fantastic. Now
I'm gonna get on that plane with you, Marcia, and it's gonna be the worst ride, and you're gonna be like, it's not always like this, just hold on, it's gonna be fine. The whole hour we'll be shaking around here like a bunch of marbles in a jar. Yeah, I know.
Troy and I were on a flight from LA years and years back.
I have the video.
Oh my God. There are certain times I can handle turbulence. I have to get in my brain and tell myself that I'm in a bus going over like horrible potholes, right? Like that's literally what I tell myself sometimes because it gets so bumpy. And then you see like the stewardess and they're like,
yeah,
and you're like, what the fudge? If they're doing that, this is bad. And there's like lightning and you're freaking out. But this one time we were coming back and Troy, at that time, I was handling flying even better than him at that time, which I've gotten worse.
Well, the time that we had the turbulence, I was laughing. I was good then. You didn't like it.
That's what I mean. Like, but you at that time, still didn't enjoy flying. Like, it wasn't like,
I've never liked to fly, Marcia. I
his
used to
whole
do
life.
it. I got stuck. Well, Marcia, listen now. I'm telling everybody we're running out of time, but I will explain this. I was flying to Ohio one time in an airplane, and we lost an engine, and the other one wasn't functioning very well, and the plane like dropped sideways, like, ooh, and it was, people were crying, and it was pretty terrifying, like, because all your intestines were up here by your neck, I'm shoving my guts back down, I'm like, why are we dropping so fast? And then I didn't want to get back on a plane, and that right there, that was from then on, it was like crazy. And then I flew. Then I had a job that I had to fly. I would get home, and 3 hours later, I'd get a phone call, and they're like, "You got to get back on a plane. We're flying you to Vegas." I'm like, "What? Oh my God!" So I was all over the place. So flying out west, flying into Denver, flying into Vegas, but you get the shit kicked out of you flying when you do. There's always that clear air turbulence just beats you up. So I got to the point I didn't want to do it anymore. And then years went by. My mom and I were going out to visit my grandfather's grave, or maybe my aunt at the time before she passed, and they landed. Marcia, we landed on the runway. And then all of a sudden we accelerated so fast, I had to take back off because there was a plane on the runway that wasn't supposed to be there. So it was like, oh, we landed, boop, boop, And they were like straight up. My mom's like, oh, I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And they're like, we have to just do another turn. You know how they get all nice? You know, they're terrified too. They're dying and their eyes are this big. But they're like, we have to do another turn. There was an airplane left on the runway and we just don't want any unsafe mishaps. Sorry about that, folks. Thank you for flying shit airlines. And then, you know, you go on about your way.
How did we not know that?
But private jets, I mean, I've never, I'll risk flying on your private jet. I mean, I'm sure there's people like, Troy, get on the jet. You fucking crazy. It's a private jet. But I'll fly in your jet with you.
Good. You're gonna have a lot of fun.
Can I bring illegal paraphernalia like my drugs?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, that's good. I'll be bringing plenty of that. We can't light, but I'll vaporize it.
But you know, my dogs travel with me, and you know, as I said, I go to see Michael. His dog travels with me. So you know, they're living large. What's wrong with you?
Okay. Oh, it's an airplane, man. It's one of my things. Like I'll get right in there with crocodiles, man. But airplanes have always been like a kryptonite to me. I've been that way for a long time. But you know what? I'm not the owner, the family that owns the Sarasota Jet, who's a pilot. I mean, Chris was a pilot, you know that. And so he's always told me there's a lot. Don't get so worked up about it like that. He's like, it's very safe. He's always telling me you got to do this, and you know. So I mean, I understand. And then. One of my friends from school, her husband is a pilot, and he just tells me the same thing. He's like, you know, it's just a phobia, and it's not what you think, and it's much safer than being in a car. And I get it.
My friend's a pilot too, says the same thing all the time. And I'm like, okay.
And Marsha looks great, and she flies all the time, so you know.
You know, if you have a great pilot and you trust them, and they have a lot of experience, even if you get into a tough spot, and they know if they're going to get into one, they can get out of it. I mean, that's what you want is an experienced pilot.
But what if he has a heart attack and he's old?
Oh my God!
Are you flying it, Marsha? Because I mean,
well, I know how to fly.
Oh, thank God!
But I don't. Obviously, you know. I mean, I leave that to the professional. But you know, when you fly private jet, there's two pilots.
Okay, so, good. So if one dies, the other one can take over. That's good.
You've got the other one to step in. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
are you a backseat flyer? Just kidding. I had to ask. It's a joke.
Drop the altitude. It's a little bumpy, please. My olives are knocking out of my martini. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well,
these guys.
It's great fun.
I bounced right off the toilet. What is wrong with them? Why?
You know, I will tell you that when I flew to South Dakota, when I did fly to South Dakota, which was a couple years ago, the jets that fly from when you land in Denver to South Dakota are a lot smaller. You know, there are only like two seats on one side and one on the other. And it was actually very nice. The altitude was not so high. They were just at a nice level where you're like flying over and you can see like the hills and, you know, it was nighttime. So I saw like, you know, moon reflecting off the mountains and stuff. But I will tell you that was a very nice flight. I do remember it. And I was very comfortable with that flight. But I'm terrified of heights, Marsha. I do not like heights at all.
What are we going to do with you?
I don't like heights. I'm not a heights person. Anybody knows me. Like, I don't like heights at all. I remember when I went to the Atlanta Dome and I was working a job and they're like, you got to crawl across that. I said, listen, motherfucker, I quit. I'm driving home. They opened that elevator and I looked down and people were like ants. I could not walk across that graded catwalk for nothing. And Katie and I were just on a little vacation and we stayed at the Embassy Suites on the 7th floor and it was a glass elevator and it started going up and it was like, I had to turn around and face the wall, not talk. I don't know. I just don't like heights. I don't like
that. I have that same thing. I agree with you, Troy. I'll go to certain hotels that John will book for us. And I can't. We were watching a show the other night and they were up on like some building in the middle of Texas and they were talking on the balcony, but it's like the new modern glass balconies. And the one guy's like leaning off the back like this.
Some people
like
don't care.
Freaking like 300 feet in the air. And he's like, yeah, I mean, like, I just don't. I'm like, dude, the wind's going to take. I'm like getting anxiety and my heart's starting to pump and it's not even me. I'm like thinking this guy's going to blow off the balcony and die.
And you get scared. Get scared.
Well,
all right, I'm gonna come up on the hour here, so hold on because I'm gonna keep you guys with me. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight again and spending another time with us on the Motley Croc Show. We really enjoy everybody being out here, and we got a couple minutes left, so I just want to touch on a couple things before we close. WTF Paranormal, there's a lot of investigations going on from aliens, Bigfoots to crotch critters, whatever you can think of, they're going to look it up. Marsha Benucci's Animal Outtakes, make sure you guys check that out. You can look it up on YouTube, and I think what are your networks too? ABC7 and a few other ones, and you're nationally syndicated. So Animal Outtakes is a fun thing if you want to learn about animals and see some really neat stuff. And Dante's Den, guys, go out there and check that out there in Mayaca. That's a really wonderful dog place. And if you guys really like dogs, I would definitely go out there and see that and put some support that way. That's a really cool thing for all you animal lovers out there. So I want to say thank you for joining us this time, you two. You stay with us, and always check the Motley Croc Show out. We are every 7 p.m. live, and we'll probably be going to only live once a month. But we'll be doing and pre-recording live shows so we can bring other guests on. Time differences throughout different states. So we're going to be doing that too, and we're going to do a lot of fun stuff coming up. And we'll be traveling around and getting some good filming done, and I want you guys to stay on the journey with us. So once again, thank you for spending time with us here at the Motley Croc Show. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next weekend. And until then, keep rocking out.